I work for a company that is doing a lot of damage in the world. Facebook and Google are no longer companies, they're countries. They must be stopped. The government needs to step in and break up Google and Facebook. It's a better thing for the world. The single biggest thing is this company needs to be broken up. No king in the history of the world has been the ruler of 2 billion people. But Mark Zuckerberg is.
Today, Project Veritas undercover journalists have exposed another high-level executive at Facebook.
I would break it up and I would remove Zuck as the CEO. So Mark Zuckerberg is very concerned with health. In fact, his the Chan Zuckerberg initiative.
I'm fascinated and terrified at the same time.
At this point, you should be. It's eugenics, and I don't know any way to stop it. I think the genie is out of the bottle, which is why a lot of shit goes down because people aren't paying attention. I can target racist people using just those 3 things. It's that easy because data is very powerful. Give me 5 things about you, and I can pretty much figure out everything else. AI is essentially evolving to become like human intelligence, and then it's going to go beyond human intelligence. And at that point, humans are expendable. It's not like the AI will try to kill us. They just won't care because it'll be so superior that it'll be like, these people don't matter. So I might be killing hundreds of ants when I walk in the park. I don't know and I don't care. It's not a thing that I think about. We will be like those ants.
What if the tech companies like Google and Facebook remain unchecked? Where do we go from there? What's going to happen? But what's going to happen?
Bad things.
We confronted Thomas, asked him to join our team of insiders. Here's what happened.
I just want to let you know that I intend to release our conversations to the American people.
You shouldn't do that.
Are you interested in interviewing on the record with us to clarify your statements to the American people?
No. Hello?
Hey, Benny. Hang up the phone. We hope this story will encourage Thomas to change his mind and many others like him.
There we go. Welcome to the Bill Mason Show. Hey, Bill.
Here we are. We're in the midst of watching the Democrats try to steamroll their way through all the hoops and hurdles. We're watching Facebook try to literally, from my viewpoint, implement the social credit scoring system because it looks like it's like step 1 and a step of many to get something like that in place and to be able to just pick certain people out and be like, oh, these are the bad people and we're going to work from there. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is our America. This is Joe Biden's America.
Yeah, I mean, Facebook, Google, and Twitter needs to be broken up. I don't know how Twitter can be broken up, but something needs to be done to make sure free speech is upheld. Don't you agree?
I agree, and I think that some of the way that they keep records of data, I don't know if they'll succeed in breaking the company up, but I think if there is a way to get people to be able to consent to their data, like right now, they kind of jumped the I guess the technology and the legality of it, where now once you click I agree to their software and I agree to your device and all of these things, they just harvest and mine your data, and it's not yours to own, where it should be yours and solely yours, and you should be able to pick and choose. Like, you know, on your phone you could say whether you want to share your location or not, right. But then the loophole behind that is as soon as you log into Facebook, or if you stay logged into Facebook, your location data is there. So, right. You know, you can try and get privacy, but as soon as you dive into the world where these apps like Facebook and Google are, you don't have any privacy. It's gone. It's out the window.
It is. And then just so our viewers will know, you can't promote anything on these platforms that's political. You can't do it. They won't let you. Ever since the election back in November, they won't let you do it. So that's another thing that's holding, people back to promote the political views.
Yeah, and the narrative to them we've watched is very important, because even if we won't talk about what the evidence was, because apparently as soon as the attorney general, the ink's not even dry on his official appointment, he's releasing reports now. I know we have a later video, but as soon as we get to the point where I want to say that foreign powers are being blamed for actual evidence that we all saw, we all witnessed it, and it was video evidence, but somehow they can spin it and use not only Facebook and Google, but now the typical media people to have a counter narrative. Oh, what you saw with your own eyes, that was Russia. Russia was interfering in
Russia did it.
Yeah, Russia did that. But they did it in favor of Donald Trump. And the last time they did it because, they did it in favor of Donald Trump, but he won. But this time they helped him and he lost. And I mean, it's all over the place how they can shift the blame. But I think Facebook is part of the blame shift too, because they realize that if you can get someone to focus on one group of people and put a message out there, which they have access to that data. They know what we're clicking on. They know how long. They know if we're actually reading the articles that we like, because they know that there are people that just see, and they're on the right too. They see a Breitbart article and they just like it. And they like it and they like it. But Facebook knows whether you actually read it or not. And if you didn't read it or not, they will put a counter narrative in your feed to make sure that the easy chopped up baby food version goes in and not the Breitbart article.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big spin. So I don't know what's going to happen, but something's going to be need to be done. Now, that person that's on that video, he was an insider. He was an executive at Facebook. He might be fired by now, though. What do you think, Bill?
I think they tried to get him to go and be public, which, I mean, it's out now, and I think the way he said it, and he was like, "Don't do that." He looked like he was scared for his life. So I almost wonder if there's a secret cabal of Facebook hitman that
we need to make sure he's still alive.
Yeah, you don't even know.
No,
and I mean, the thing is about I hate to say it, like people that are in like the global version of Facebook, they could just redeploy him to some remote location. So
Antarctica or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Now, just to let you know, I mean, today Russia came out and said they're going to ban Twitter. They're going to block Twitter out of their country if they don't comply with their rules. Yeah.
And I saw a couple interviews with Vladimir Putin. One of them was like this crazy one-on-one video, and he said that he will never let Russia, for as hated as it is throughout the world, he will never let an entity dictate like the amount of false narratives that are spun around the country. So you could look at it one of two ways. One, he's putting his foot down and trying to get fake news to not be an issue in Russia. Or two, how other people are going to say, they're going to be like, oh, that's a dictator move. He doesn't want the people to have freedom of speech. But I think we saw the illusion of freedom of speech when we were getting banned from Twitter and we were getting shut down and blocked and having videos pulled from YouTube and like all of this stuff. So the people that are on the side of calling Putin a dictator for trying to ban Twitter from his country, I think he saw what happened here and obviously wants to stay in power, of course, but the power of social media and who can talk and who can't is really what the issue is, I think.
Right. That's a big issue here in the United States, and they are the dictators. It's not the Putins in the world. It's the Twitter, Facebooks, and Googles.
It's big tech. And like he was saying, like, no king has ever, ruled over, half the world, which is basically what Zuckerberg is ruling over. Who can speak, who can click on things, and who can post videos, and all of that stuff is important, especially like I think there were countries in Africa too. They banned Facebook during their election cycles because they didn't want the interference that social media can do. And this is like a thing now. So you're going to have the opposite effect. You're going to have big, powerful Google and Facebook calling these people in these smaller countries too, oh, they're dictators. That's why they don't want the people to speak. But we watch the abuse of social media on our country. So these countries are learning from it. and maybe they know, let's just let the normal process happen without the influence of social media.
Right. Yeah. Well, I agree with him. So the guy talked about the Chan Zuckerberg initiative. Let's bring that up.
Yeah,
And he said it's the eugenics program.
absolutely. And you know what? It looks like to me, I mean, we were talking about it pre-show. It looks like to me like one of those foundations that you could easily funnel money into. You can put billions of dollars and distribute it all over the place, and it's kind of like a I don't know, like a honeypot for drawing in people and being able to influence. I mean, this is basically a vehicle to influence all over the world.
Yeah, look at her profile here. So she's a geneticist. She works for science work at the initiative. What kind of science work is she doing? Rockefeller University in New York? What kind of science is she doing there?
Well, it's most likely behavioral analysis, and the stuff that this entity does.
Yeah.
This is like an AI to behavioral analysis. Watching where people's money goes, watching where people click, what do they buy, what do they sell, like all of this stuff, and it turns into a steamroller for the social credit scoring.
Well, take a look at this. This person here was the chief product officer for Hillary for America presidential campaign.
Oh, of course, absolutely. I'm sure it's all lefties. I mean, you can't have a viewpoint that doesn't fit. They really don't, as we can see with the Democrats, they don't take well to an opposing argument.
Wow, they have a big profile. I mean, they have a big amount of people here at this little initiative here.
Sure.
I mean, this initiative is millions of dollars. I'm sure they sunk into this thing.
Oh, absolutely. And you can see like these people are all connected to Silicon Valley. They work for Barack Obama, like this guy right here, David. Right. He worked for Barack Obama. Other people work for Hillary. Other people work for like Senator, Chuck Schumer. There's people that work for Nancy Pelosi. I mean, this is just like basically a processing money laundering operation.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, so I don't know what is going on here. We need to dig in more about this initiative and see what kind of work they're doing. Maybe we'll give them a call and say, hey, what are you guys doing?
Hey, maybe if one of our viewers wants to become an insider for us and maybe apply for a job, maybe wear a Hillary I'm with her shirt and show up for an interview. I'm sure she'll get swept into the position.
I'm sure. Well, it looks like My Pillow guy is going to start a social media company. He's going to be out in 2 weeks, he said.
He is not stopping, man. No. He is. Let's talk about, before we go into that, he's about to face the Dominion lawsuit. They said is going to cost him millions and millions and millions of dollars. And the point of the Dominion lawsuit is they thought he would back off, but he wants to get to the discovery. He wants this to be a real lawsuit where the discovery portion and he's allowed to look into Dominion. He's going to spend millions of dollars of his own money and battle Dominion. Right. And then he's also starting his own social media company that he's touting as the most secure in the world.
Yeah, let's take a look and see what the video says.
All right.
Once again, 100%. Your social media platform, which is one-stop shop against Twitter and YouTube and all this, that's going to launch in about 2 to 3 weeks, as you see it today, correct?
I would say no longer than 2 weeks. We're working 24/7 on it, but I will not launch it till it's the most secure platform in history, because it's going to get attacked like you wouldn't believe. But I can tell you, it's going to be the most secure and the most amazing platform they've ever seen for people to go on there, influencers, podcasters, people in doing TV shows. We're going to get the voice out, the voice of free speech. It's going to change this world. I'll tell you that.
Okay, it's called VOCL. It's going to come out in 2 weeks. Mike Lindell, honor to have you on another interesting conversation, and thank you. Look forward to coming back.
There we go. I mean, can we even play the guy? I mean, are we going to get banned for playing Mike Lindell?
I mean, I don't think we played some of his more controversial statements. That was pretty much cut and dry.
Right.
And everywhere he goes, they're except for Steve Bannon, they're worried about what he's going to say.
Right.
I think Steve Bannon, he's got the war room. He's on Rumble. He's like, yeah, go ahead, shut me down, no problem. But
Right.
I mean, for us, yeah, we're treading, we're in dangerous waters here. But the point of him, you can't ignore what he's trying to do,
No.
which is take his own money and be the guy who's like, put up or shut up.
Right.
And I mean, the guy made his fortune on pillows and blankets and stuff, and here he is battling, multinational corporations and forming a social media platform. I mean, I can't hate the guy. I just can't do it.
No, I can't either. He's out there definitely.
Yeah.
So anyway, check that out. I can't wait till that comes out. I'm going to check that out. He's not going to get plugged for an app on the App Store though.
No, you'll have to sideload it, and another thing, there's another guy, Dan Bongino, who's talking about what's going on right now in the political scene and the social media scene. Is conservatives are basically trying to form a parallel economy. They're forming their own credit card processing companies. They're forming their own web hosting companies, their own servers. So this can never happen again. And you don't have to be at the Amazon with a blade to your throat, basically controlling whether your website goes out or not. So Parler had to go outside of the United States to find web hosting because their shadow and their grip of big tech, it goes far. So I mean, they got a web hoster out of Germany. So I mean, this is something that is going to happen. Like, conservatives, from what I can tell, are not going to let their speech be limited or taken away. And we watched all these companies grow really huge, really fast. And we were all okay with it when we were in on it on the stock market. I know anybody who bought Google stock when it was an IPO of $102 is obviously, they don't care what they do because they are now the billionaire class. Right. But we watched Google and Facebook and all these companies like cozy up to the government because they knew that they had to become part of the machine. Right. Now, if you got guys like Mike Lindell and Dan Bongino who are starting things like Parler and Rumble, and he's starting VOCL, it's a war out there for information. Mm-hmm. And, not to say that we weren't warned about the information war. There's a guy who his thing is called Info Wars. Mm-hmm. He was ringing the bell, years ago, that we're going to have to fight to even speak, let alone to say something that's true.
Right.
And
AJ.
Here we are. AJ.
Yeah. We can say his name now, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if we put this on Facebook, they pull it right down. Alex Jones. There
Alex
it is.
Jones. There we go. We said it. All right,
Yes.
So let's go on to something else. So the filibuster, they want to get rid of it. Democrats want to get rid of filibuster. We're going to explain it here what that is if people don't know what it is. But since now they're in power, they want to get rid of it.
Right, and Democrats have used it almost as much as Republicans have. That's the craziest thing, is that it's a Senate rule that has been in place probably since I think 1912. And it's something that is meant for debate. So yes, it has been abused. Like it's been abused by certain people. I'm not gonna lie. If you have the wind and the will to speak for 24 hours straight without breaks, I mean, literally, I think they get 3 to 5 minute bathroom breaks. Right. But other than that, you get to talk about it, and you can have other people come in and so on and so on. And it's been used by Democrats. Strom Thurmond is the record holder, 24 hours, 11 minutes to withhold the Civil Rights Act. And he's a Democrat. So, I mean, the Democrats have used the filibuster thoroughly when they were in power and when they weren't in power as well. So, I mean, this is a thing that's been part of the Senate, and it's part of the reason it's called the upper chamber, is because they are supposed to have the longest amount of debate before a bill gets signed. And they're not supposed to rush bills through like we've seen in the House that are 3,000 to 5,000 pages that they go, we got to pass it to find out what's in it, or whatever. Yeah, we can't read it. That's 5,000 pages. We're busy people.
Right.
I mean,
and you have
the
an hour
Senate
to read
is
it.
supposed. Yes, the Senate is supposed to be where the buck stops, and there's a reason that they're there longer. They don't run for office longer. They're called the upper house. They're supposed to be the longest amount of debate and the most amount of discussion before it passes through them. They are supposed to be the gatekeepers before it goes to the president, and there's a reason that power is theirs. Now, yes, it's a rule and it's not constitutional, but guess what? Now that they have power, the Democrats are feeling emboldened that, oh, this might be in the way. Why? Because usually filibusters are used for BS type legislation, totally one-sided, not bipartisan, totally leftist, or even when the right doesn't go crazy on what they want, but usually what they want is some form of a tax cut or the repeal of some kind of tax or a regulation. And the Democrats had no problem using the filibuster to stop those things. Right. So now it's just in their way of this little wish list, and we're watching every single bill. Every single one from HR 1, they're up to 8. They've already got 2,000 bills. This is the craziest thing. We watched them do jack shit while Trump was in office. The House did nothing but impeach, but now they're writing 2,000 bills in like 45 or 60 days, whatever it is. It's all mammoth proportion BS leftist wish list crap. And if the Senate can't debate it, I don't understand why they're even there.
Yeah, well, they have to get rid of the filibuster, or they're not going to pass those bills. 60% of the majority, 60%, I have to agree to the bill for it to pass the Senate. So that's why they want to end it. If they end it, they can pass all the bills because they'll have the majority, the 51 that they need.
Right. And with Harris in there now as the tiebreaker, they have it. Yeah. And they're even worried. There's a couple of Democrats that actually there's more than a couple that are against this, and they're worried about them. So,
right. Have you ever seen Mr. Smith Goes to Washington?
Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
James Stewart.
No.
It's an old movie.
I don't think so.
It's a great movie. Play that. It's a black and white. Okay.
So I gotta make
but,
some traditional popcorn and Okay.
Yeah, very good. So bring that up. I encourage people to watch that if you hadn't seen that before. But let's take a look at Robert Reich, your favorite guy, Democrat.
Oh my God, political juggernaut.
Yeah,
no, just kidding.
He was during the Bill Clinton administration. Take a look and see what he said.
Mitch McConnell may no longer be Senate Majority Leader, but Republicans can still block legislation supported by the vast majority. That's because of a Senate rule called the filibuster. If we have any hope of safeguarding our democracy and ushering in transformative change, Democrats must wield their power to get rid of the filibuster, and fast. The filibuster is a Senate rule requiring a 60-vote supermajority to pass legislation, which means a minority of senators can often block legislation that the vast majority of Americans want and need. It's not in the Constitution. In fact, it's arguably unconstitutional. Alexander Hamilton regarded a supermajority rule as a, quote, poison that would lead to contemptible compromises of the public good. Even without the filibuster, Senate Republicans already have outsized influence. The 50 of them represent 41.5 million fewer Americans than the 50 Senate Democrats. Wyoming, with 579,000 people, gets 2 senators. California, with 40 million, also gets 2. Meanwhile, Republican-controlled states are gearing up to pass even more restrictive voting laws, along with additional partisan gerrymandering that could enable Republicans in Washington to maintain power for the next decade. The best way to prevent this is with national election standards through the For the People Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. But you see, these important bills are stymied as long as the filibuster remains in place. The filibuster is rooted in racism. In the 19th century, Southern senators crafted the talking filibuster, in which a member could delay the passage of a bill with a long-winded speech in order to protect the pro-slavery Senate minority. The current version of the filibuster, requiring 60 votes to end debate, was popularized in the Jim Crow era by Southern senators seeking to prevent passage of civil rights legislation. From the end of Reconstruction to 1964, the filibuster was used only to kill civil rights bills. Senators can now use a process called reconciliation to pass legislation on budgetary matters requiring a bare majority of 51 votes. But the filibuster can still stop bills on voting rights, the climate crisis, campaign finance reform, and other crucial legislation Americans need, and on which Joe Biden has based much of his presidency. Getting rid of the filibuster is also good politics. As long as the filibuster is intact, Senate Republicans could keep the Senate in gridlock and then run in the 2022 midterms on Democrats' failure to get anything done. The good news is the filibuster is a Senate rule. As I said, it's not in the Constitution. It's not even a law. Like any other Senate rule, it can be changed by a simple majority of senators. With Vice President Kamala Harris now serving as the tie-breaking vote, Senate Democrats can and must abolish the filibuster. Now, I know there are a few conservative Senate Democrats who don't like the idea, but Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer can get them to fall into line. That's what leadership is all about. They must end the filibuster and get America moving now.
There you go. There's your guy.
Wow, what a compelling reason to get rid of a long-standing Senate rule just because the Democrats have a wish list that they don't want opposition to.
Yeah, they can't pass without it.
Yeah. Oh, we can't pass our great climate change stuff, like our Green New Deal, which is going to cost each taxpayer like $78,000 a head. Right. I mean, man, let me tell you, these Democrats are spending money like we're printing it. Honestly, like they are spending it like we're printing it. I mean, the new bill that they passed, I mean, it cost every single taxpayer, I think it was like $21,000 a head, and they're going to give everybody $1,400. And then the rest of it goes overseas and $100+ billion goes overseas in this COVID bill. It's mind-boggling that we're the only country in the world that can send money overseas through our House of Representatives.
Oh yeah, and give us peanuts, which we haven't got yet, by the way.
Yeah, I'm still waiting. I'm
still waiting on. I'm still waiting for some money. Now, I like how he says that about the Senate. Wyoming has 2 senators, and then California has 2. He didn't mention anything that has nothing to do with the population. The House of Representatives, the reps, that has something to do. So California has a lot more representatives in the House because of their population compared to Wyoming. So,
and that's where the craziness comes from.
Yeah,
the House.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to make where people don't understand what's going on to confuse them.
Yes.
Make them think, hey, this is not right.
Well, they're the same people that want to get rid of. Listen, if they get rid of the filibuster, the next move is the Electoral College. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's their next move.
But because then in California and in New York, we control the election.
Exactly. And that's what they want, honestly. They need it because when you have, yes, he's right. Guess what? North Dakota only has two senators, but they have a lot of landmass, and that landmass has value and it has resources, and those people deserve the representation.
Not only that, the states are equal.
Right. They should be.
They are. Yeah. The states, that's why they get 2 senators each. They're equal.
And the other push that no one's talking about is they want to make the District of Columbia a state in itself.
Did they pass that yet in the House?
No, they're trying.
Yeah, okay. They will.
Listen, this is why they want to get rid of the filibuster, because that is one thing that I don't think they're going to be able to get through without a filibuster. Just like Puerto Rico and Guam becoming states and getting 2 senators. They're talking about every single angle of changing the game so that Republicans can never win a fair election again. And the filibuster's in the way. I mean, honestly.
It is in the way. And they're going to get rid of it.
Yeah.
If it's not this month, it'll be in 6 months down the road. They'll get rid of it.
They figure they got probably 2 years before the 2022 midterms. So they're going to push so hard in these next 2 years to get this wish list done. and honestly, put the nail in the American taxpayer, man, and just hammer them down. I mean, I feel, thank you, Joe Biden. I filled up today for $3.41. And let's see, I want to say in December it was about $2.60. So thanks, Joe.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, I had a relative of mine all they have is Teslas, and they don't go to the gas pump. But I got to remind them that not only is the gas price going up, your electricity is going up too as well.
Everything. I mean, it's a matter of timing.
Exactly. So let's take a look and see what Mitch McConnell said today about the filibuster.
All right.
So we know you're opposed to eliminating the filibuster. Is there any opening to filibuster reform, like enforcing the talking filibuster, the requirement that a senator has to be on the floor?
It's not broken, and it doesn't need to be fixed. Our Democratic friends used the filibuster frequently in the last Congress. They were in the minority in the Senate. They took advantage of, for example, killing Senator Tim Scott's police reform bill. I didn't react to that by saying, okay, we'll change the rules of the Senate to get our way. It's not broken, and it doesn't need to be fixed. This is a solution in search of a problem. It is not a problem that the Senate stops bad ideas or negotiates bipartisan solutions. That is the essence of the Senate.
There he is. I mean, I agree McConnell needs to go, but, he was right on that.
I mean, he has to. For him not to stand for keeping a rule in the Senate that not only protects the American people from runaway legislation, but it also protects the senators too. Like there are senators who are under pressure to vote a certain way. And this is another reason I was looking up why sometimes a filibuster happens. If you're in a heavily Democratic area and you're up for re-election and this bill comes up that you don't agree with at all and you really don't want to vote for it, and you go, hey, Rand Paul, how about a big long filibuster on this one, man? Save my ass so I don't have to put my name on this crap legislation to get reelected. Because let's not forget that this is part of the game. That there are people who are decent, well-rounded thinking people. Like, I want to say Manchin from West Virginia. Yes, he's a Democrat. There's a D next to his name. But I've seen him, especially in the last 4 years when I was really paying attention, be like a thinking Democrat who says that doesn't make any sense. I can't vote for that because he has to go home to West Virginia, which is a very different place than Los Angeles, where I'm not saying anything, but they own more guns than probably any other people. Right. So you can't pull stuff that like people in California can, where they could say like the little people don't matter. I'm just going to vote, and they'll forget by the time the elections come because they pressure people to think that, oh, we need a Democrat in office. It doesn't matter where they stand. But there are other parts of the country that flip-flop the power of Democrat Republican based on morals and principles. And that is the breadbasket of this country. I've seen the swing states just in my lifetime. The swing states have changed. I mean, Pennsylvania never used to be a swing state. I mean, now we're a swing state. Michigan. I mean, there are places that are... They used to be like stanchions of Democrat or Republican. And now we're watching the swing states start to move based on where these populations move. I just watched people run from New York City and buy up all the houses in my area in Pennsylvania because they know that New York sucks. But the thing is they're Democrats. And they just flushed in and surrounded me, and they're going to bring their stupid, crappy politics with them. So that's what happened. Yeah, it's going to happen. I mean, we're going to watch states turn into swing states. And Democrats love a swing state because it's just opportunity for them because they have social media, as we shown. They have CNN, which is a propaganda machine. Right. We all know that. So when they have these things coupled together, a swing state can easily turn into their state. And we watched it happen. So, for the Senate to break down, this is round robin here, but for the Senate to break down and change the rules based on who's in power, it makes the Senate look like some kind of clown show, which I think we don't want to look any more like a banana republic than we already do. So we can't let this happen.
No, we can't. Well, here's your other favorite guy, Chuck Schumer, about the filibuster.
God.
Yes.
If you have a response to Leader McConnell saying today that a change in the cloture rules will turn the Senate into a 100-car pile with nothing moving. And secondly, on that point, do you agree with Senator Durbin's view that the filibuster has become...
Okay, let me answer both. First, Senator McConnell is always looking for a diversion. He knows how popular ARP is. He knows he and his whole caucus opposed it, and that the American people, even Republicans, we just surveyed in New York State, 55% of Republicans are for the ARP now that it's passed. So he's always looking for a diversion. As for the issue, we Democrats, all of us, believe we need big, bold change. As I've said before, we hope our Republican colleagues will work with us to produce that change. We will try to get them to work with us. But if not, we will put our heads together and figure out how to go, and everything is on the table.
Of course, everything's on the table.
It's depressing. It's hard to not. It's like watching one of your children that you told them all the right things to do, and then you watch him take his first bike and try to jump over a fire pit and a ramp, and you just start shaking your head, and you're like, man, I really hope he makes it out of this. That's what America's like right now. We're watching these Democrats run away with the power, and they're doing everything that they can to try to make sure that they keep the power because no one would vote for their lunatic clauses.
Right. And it's crazy. I mean, we said it over and over on the shows. It's like it's one thing after another, after another, after another. You gotta get beat down a little bit. It's like,
and this is the thing. We're going to talk about this. Anybody can print this out. I know we're talking about this. Under Donald Trump, you didn't get stuff like this from the DNI, okay, the Director of National Intelligence. You didn't get declassified stuff that he wrote yesterday. And this is basically propaganda. This whole thing is a defense of China, anti-Russia. It says nothing. It's complete BS.
Yes, just take a look at the Filibuster. I'll pause it in the middle a little bit so we can talk about it. And take a look at this.
A new and truly explosive declassified report from the U.S. intelligence community says Russia tried to interfere in the 2020 U.S. presidential election. Among the Russian goals, denigrating Joe Biden, supporting Donald Trump's re-election, undermining public confidence in the U.S. electoral process, and trying to create as much political chaos in the United States as possible. We're joined by the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, California Democratic Representative Adam Schiff. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. How significant is it to see all these details laid out in great specificity on behalf of the entire U.S. intelligence community?
Well, I think it's wonderful that they put out this report, that they declassified this information.
All right, let's go back here and talk about it. So there's Adam Schiff. Again, another one of your favorite guys. So we played your 3 favorite people tonight.
Seriously, this is a trifecta of people that, I mean, honestly, if we were on the last lifeboat of the Titanic, I mean, literally all 3 of them would not make it.
So anyway, so they're saying that Russia helped Trump to lose, I guess.
It's crazy. They say that Russia denigrated Joe Biden. How? By making him speak in public?
Yeah.
Because that's what denigrated Joe Biden. Every time the guy went out and spoke of his own accord, he made stupid statements and made himself look like a complete jackass.
Russia's the one that painted the circles.
Yeah, did Russia put 7 people at his rallies?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't.
Russia told him, they called him and said, don't come.
This is mental gymnastics for everybody who's not like a regular CNN viewer. I'm sure regular CNN viewers are eating this up like it's delicious ice cream, but for the thinking public, you're looking at these people make these comparisons. How did Russia make Joe Biden look bad? Joe Biden made Joe Biden look bad. He was an absolute worst case scenario for himself, to the point where he stopped campaigning. So we watched it the last month. He just stayed in his basement bunker because every time he spoke, his ratings went down.
I don't know what you're talking about, Bill. He's the most popular president ever.
80 million votes.
Yeah.
Unreal. Unbelievable.
Where did they come from?
Apparently not. Apparently, according to this, they did not come from Russia, and they did not come from China. They're blaming Hezbollah for some interference. So maybe Hezbollah. I don't know.
Maybe.
Unreal.
I mean, they do have colorful flags.
They do, and you know what? I'm sure that they were all huddled around, a computer in Pakistan somewhere, having tremendous influence on this election.
Oh yeah, they just post a whole bunch of things on Facebook.
Facebook ads. Yeah. I mean, they did 2016, so why couldn't Hezbollah
remember, they can't do Facebook ads. They blocked off all ads. They're still blocking the ads.
They blocked ours.
No, they blocked everybody's.
Well, here's the thing. There was a loophole, and I heard this from several people. You could be political without being political. So if you weren't like a super PAC or like some kind of political Facebook page, you were just Joe Smith from Utah, and you got out there and had an ad where you talked about everything that was important to you and didn't mention the fact that there was an election. You could promote the hell out of that, and people could draw the conclusion. So there was a loophole for politics.
Well, the only loophole there was is that if you don't talk about politics in the first 30 minutes of your video, you were able to promote it.
Right.
You couldn't say anything Biden. You couldn't sit in the Senate. You couldn't do anything. But you can talk about it after the fact, after the 30 minutes is over.
Right. And we learned that, I mean, very, very slowly, that you can't just open with bam, bombshell, drop. You can't do that because that'll get your stuff shut right down. You got to wait to deliver the information. You got to wait to the end. I mean, All
right, let's see if we can finish this a little bit here. I don't know if I can watch Adam Schiff, but let's take a look.
Yeah, he's going to spin this BS.
Yeah, let's fast forward.
Obviously a very deeply destructive message that wouldn't gain much traction with Americans, except for the fact that Donald Trump was also pushing this Kremlin narrative. And that made it even more pernicious, more damaging and destructive. We have to get to a point where both parties agree to shun any foreign interference, to condemn any foreign interference. If they're offered stolen emails that are hacked from either party, to turn them down and report to the FBI. That's the only way we protect ourselves, is developing that consensus. It was very hard to do while Donald Trump was in office. I hope we can do it now.
Because clearly the Russians wanted to, what the Russians have tried to do for many, many years, sow as much political chaos, distrust here in the United States as possible, because that would weaken the U.S. globally. The report did find no indication, Congressman, that any foreign actor actually changed ballots or results. How much does that undercut some of the conspiracy theories that have been and continue to be spun about the integrity of the U.S. election?
Well, I think it should help a lot. The former president was pushing this idea that there were going to be millions of fraudulent ballots mailed in from other countries. That there's no evidence.
I can't do it.
It's tough to watch because we watched Adam Schiff ring the Russia bell for years, and it seems to be the go-to, scapegoat of every time the Democrats have some kind of failure, they can point back to Russia. But the weird thing is now they're saying that Russia helped the other candidate. We won't mention that because I've learned that if you don't talk about this and connect it with that you're okay. So they're saying Russia helped the other candidate. What, lose? I mean,
congratulations. They did a great job.
I have a real hard time going through that. And like I said, I want anybody to go on the internet and download, because now apparently the Department of National Intelligence, they just release things on a regular basis, which hasn't happened under any other.
I bet there's no black marks. Is there any black marks on that?
No, this is like their big. I didn't want to print it in color, but this is their new globalist logo that they changed a little bit, but you can't see it. But anyway,
There's no redactions or anything like. There's nothing like that.
There's no redactions.
Yeah.
There's there's no sources. So when you read through here and the intelligence community assessment, blah 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 blah, when it goes to list their sources, it just says sources or all intelligence source from various intelligence community contacts or whatever. So it's no evidence. This is basically propaganda. And like I said, this was written on March 10th and released on the 12th. This is unheard of for the DNI to declassify stuff. This, under Trump or anybody else, this would have went around the Senate and the House and all these people for weeks and weeks and weeks on end before they even considered releasing it.
Oh, yeah.
But because this is a fluff piece and it defends China and it basically says that somehow Russia made Joe Biden flub every time he went out in public, they released this.
Of course. All right. Well, that's the show tonight. I mean, just so you be aware of it, it looks like there's going to be war between Ukraine and Russia in the next week or so. They're calling up reserves. Russia's on high alert. So we had some videos of tanks rolling through, but we'll share that on the next show. I don't know if they're going to go war between now and Thursday night, but we'll find out.
Yeah, and I mean they're moving tanks and troops, and apparently there's some what else was I going to say? Moving out of ports. I noticed that in the news. They're moving big oil tankers and stuff out of the ports, which is like that's one of those things when you're worried about getting attacked. So I mean, this is nuts.
Yeah, I'm gonna play this video real quick. Just show the
All
video.
right.
There's the tanks coming in.
Yep. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that's the Ukrainians moving their tanks into position, right?
Yep. Yeah, moving to the Donbass area, whatever you want to call it.
Which has always been like a hotbed of battle. I don't think it's ever not been in conflict for the past 5 years, right?
That's correct. Ever since Russia took Ukraine, they took portions of Ukraine, the Donbass area, and they've been supporting the rebels, and Russian troops, mercenaries are in there. So Ukraine wants to knock them out, wants to kick them out, but that's their land bridge to Ukraine, so they're not going to let them take it over again.
Right.
And Russia's too strong. If they don't watch it, they'll just move right into Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, and take it over.
Exactly, and change the flag once again. You know, so
now it's Russia. Right. All right. Well, that's the show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the new subscribers, and we'll talk more about Ukraine on Thursday night. And have a wonderful day.
Good night, everyone.
March along, sing a song.